Describe a period when you were very busy. Let's think of some ideas for this cue card so that you'll be able to develop a better monologue. First idea is you're juggling your work and your study. Let's say you're a full-time worker and at the same time you're studying a master's program or some kind of course that required you to spend more time. For example, there was a time that you were so busy at work and you were so exhausted for working for 8 hours and you wanted to go back home right away. However, you couldn't because you still needed to go to school. You had to attend lectures, especially because there was an upcoming major exam. I think that's a great idea. Another idea would be you're a nurse and you had to work for more than 8 hours because your hospital was understaffed. That means there were so many patients that needed your care or attention. And because of that, you had to work longer than usual. Also, you couldn't even have your break time because of your schedule. I think that can be a great example as well. Now, when you develop your story, I really want you to add more descriptions to your story, making sure that your examiner would be able to imagine how busy you were during that time. Easy. Anyway, some helpful expressions that you can use for this cue card are first, to have a lot on one's plate, which means you have a lot of things to deal with. For example, I had a lot on my plate last year. That is, I had to start managing my own business, take good care of my parents, and complete my studies. Another one is to be tied up with something, which means you are unavailable because you're doing something else. For example, I was tied up with my work yesterday that I missed having my lunch. Describe an unusual holiday that you had. In my ebook or reviewer, I simply talked about the time when we celebrated a grandparents' day. Normally, when that time comes, our family and relatives gather together to hold a family reunion. But what made that holiday unusual the last time we celebrated it was the fact that we no longer had our grandma with us, and that saddened my grandpa more than ever. It was a pain to watch my grandpa feeling so lonely because he missed my grandma so much when we celebrated that grandparents' day. We realized that celebrating a grandparents' day would never be the same. And that made us feel so sad as well because we could no longer do the things that we normally do with our grandparents. That is a very good example of an unusual holiday. But to be honest with you, that is not true. I just made that up. So it's really okay to make things up if you feel like you can creatively develop a story. Another idea that you can use is to simply talk about a festival or holiday in your country. For example, in Japan, there is Kanama Matsuri. That is really an unusual holiday or festival. In the Philippines, there is Simbang Gabi, and in India, there is Diwali. And then what I want you to do is to talk about the distinct meaning of that holiday culturally or religiously. It may not be unusual in your own culture because basically that is your own festival. It will be unusual to foreign people. For example, you can say like this. Well, this holiday is very common in our country because this is part of our culture and tradition. However, when I shared this holiday with my foreign friends, they found it unusual. It's something that they could never imagine. That is a very good example as well when talking about an unusual holiday. Easy. Congratulations to my student Demille for achieving a band 7. I am so happy that you finally made it. Thank you so much for trusting me as your coach. If you're stuck at 6 or 6.5, then this is your sign. I would love to invite you to join my one-on-one coaching program and let me help you identify your weaknesses and address them practically. I will teach you how I achieved a band 9 on my first attempt at taking the IELTS speaking test. So, what are you waiting for? Send an email today and let me help you achieve a band 7 or more. Do it now. Describe a useful skill that you learned as a teenager. What kinds of skill can a teen learn? I think there are many kinds of skills that a teen can learn, especially when they are guided by their parents or their teachers. So some examples of skills that teenagers can learn are swimming skills, saving up skills, cooking skills, math skills, reading skills, and many more. If I get this cue card, I'll simply talk about cooking skills. For example, I can simply talk about the time when I simply observed how my mom prepared food for us. Until she decided to teach me how to cook different kinds of dishes. She taught me the essentials of cooking, such as the use of different kitchenwares, how to measure condiments, how to read and follow recipes. And I have to mention the different cooking styles that my mother taught me, such as grilling, frying, boiling, steaming, and many more. And for me to extend my story for 2 minutes and to make my story more interesting and meaningful, I'll simply talk about how cooking skills helped me now that I'm an adult and now that I'm living on my own. Anyway, some verbs that you can use for this topic skill are develop a skill, pick up a skill, acquire a skill, and learn a skill. For example, I picked up reading skills when I was just a primary schooler.